What's up, guys? Welcome back again to your Heroclix headquarters. I just got back from playing in Missouri States, and obviously I got this map, so that means I made the top 4. I did come in 4th place. I definitely made a few little misplays here and there, but today we're going to talk about the team that I played. I definitely, like I said, could use a little more practice to play a little bit better next time, maybe, but I think I still did pretty good, and I'm really happy with being top 4. And yeah, this team is really, really strong, so I wanted to go over it with you guys. It features Prime SpiderMan. It's very aggressive, very offensive. It can get across the board and pretty much just team wipe you like turn 2 or 3. I did, in fact, one of my games get all the way across the board and just kill everything but one character in the first turn, like basically turn 2, right? So it definitely has that type of damage potential, and I think it's great. Like I said, I gotta practice it a little bit more and maybe tweak it a little bit for Worlds coming up, but I'm really liking the team so far, so I wanted to share it with you guys. So let's get into it without any further ado. Starting us off, this is a team based around Prime SpiderMan, like I said. So this dude is just so good right now. I have talked about him a lot recently in my top 5 primes, my top 5 attackers, and my top 5 Spider-Man videos. And he came in like the top 3 of every single one of those. So I really can't stress enough how this dude is amazing and is like top tier meta potential. And one of my favorite figures of the whole year so far. So let's just get right into it. If you have missed it already somehow, we'll just quickly go over it. But he's got the wall crawler trait that gives him leap, climb, and free place his character in a square of different elevation within 4 squares in line of fire. So it's great maneuverability there. You've got the subconscious crime fighting trait, which is really like the key thing here that makes him just over the top amazing, which is free. If he has 2 action tokens, give him a costed action as free. If you did, after resolutions, deal him 1 unavoidable damage. That just means he can continuously attack forever and ever. The turns where he gets a 2nd action token, he can then take a free action and basically make 2 actions in 1 turn. And then, he's just getting a free action on the next turn and clearing, and he just never ever stops attacking. So he's always doing something for you. He's always getting in some good damage with that special movement power, charge, flurry, and sidestep, just giving him a ton of damage potential on top of a bunch more maneuverability. And then he's very well defended with the super senses and impervious. That's protected outwit on top of the Spider-Man TA, so he's got a +1 to the super sense roll. So you got the 4 through 6 senses, and if you miss that, you still got impervious, and even if you miss that, the impervious is reducing too. So very well defended there. But yeah, we are playing him at 80. That's really the sweet spot. 50 is okay, but you need that 80-point line for that special movement power that gives him the charge, flurry, sidestep. He's also got super strength, the special defense power, and 4 damage with perplex. So that is what really puts him over the top here. He can perplex his attack up to 12. You can perplex movement if you need to. You really don't ever need to that I've seen so far, but it can come up. But yeah, usually I just end up perplexing up his attack and rushing in there. And so yeah, that is the main attacker that we're building around. Now, normally you might see this guy equipped with the black symbiote to give him stealth and top dial steal energy, which is great. Especially because you get it for free, so why not? But we are playing him with the Necro Sword for 15 points. This gives him Giant Reach 2, so that's great for extending his reach, which is already insane. And then when this character makes a close attack, opposing characters can't use Shape Change, Super Senses, and can't reduce damage below 1. So that right there is the main reason. There's so many strong things right now that got 4 through 6 super senses. They got shape change. They got super sense and shape change. Him for one. Then you've got things like Scarlet Witch, the 50-point death metal Wonder Woman that can revive people, like all kinds of stuff with the crazy super senses and shape changes and everything. So just being able to ignore all that is amazing. And because it's been ruled on the win that the knockback damage that we just got back with the recent rules update, knockback damage happens during the attack, during the whole attack sequence. And since the wording on Necro Sword here says that when this character makes a close attack, opposing characters can't use those powers and can't reduce damage below 1, So that's basically saying that during the whole attack, they can't reduce damage below 1, meaning that even any knockback he inflicts also cannot be reduced below 1. So even if they have a reducer, even if you punch them onto a stop click and then they have like, a toughness or invincible or something like that on their stop click, you can then deal a separate knockback damage to KO them, which is really the key thing here. So it's really, really good at just finishing off characters in one shot that normally that would be impossible. Characters like the Scarlet Witch and the Wonder Woman and other things. So very strong combo right there. One key thing to watch out for with this combo, though, is he does not have a way to heal top dial because he doesn't have steel energy like he normally would from like the black symbiote. So he does get steel energy later, which is nice, which helps him from just KOing himself from constantly using his trait. But you do have to be a little bit careful top dial. Just realize that you are going to take unavoidable damage from consistently using the trait, on top of potentially some mystics damage as well. But something I found a lot is actually you'll end up taking an unavoidable from using his trait, and usually one of the people you're hitting has mystics, so he's like taking 2, and he's still got the special movement power for the charge flurry sidestep, which is great. So that's nice. I mean, even though you're taking 2 damage, you're probably KOing 2 things, and it doesn't really affect you too much that I've found. But that's something to watch out for, so just note that. Oh, and in case you're wondering how he's dealing the knockback, like I was talking about with the sword, he does have super strength, which gives you knockback on close attacks. So in case you're wondering where the knockback comes from, it's from his super strength. So yeah, he's just so good. He also has 2 targets, so you have to remember that you can double target, and you could potentially deal like 3 to some person and 1 to another, dealing them both knockback. So that way that one person dealt 3 actually takes 4, maybe KOs, and the person you dealt 1 actually could take 2. So it is really good at just upping his damage a ton. Just spreading out the damage between 2 targets can get you an extra 2 damage in per turn or more, potentially 4 damage, with the flurry. So it's great. He's dealing so much damage. It's absolutely crazy. And his super strength helps a lot with one combo that I also love, which I really want to get into the rest of the team, but we'll try to just talk about really quickly here. If you play, this is one of my favorite things to play with him, just this big shipping container that's just a big chunk of elevated. So one thing, first of all, you place this, in a good spot at the beginning of the game so that you TK him out with somebody, 4 squares out. And as long as he's 4 squares away from this, then he can place himself on that. So that right there gives him pretty much enough reach. He has sidestep, so then you can sidestep off of it and use super strength to pick it up. And then you can charge on somebody. And yes, you can smack somebody with it for the extra +2 damage, which is great. But what I've found is actually even more useful and something that nobody ever sees coming. So this is my super secret awesome tip for you guys right now, is when you use the charge, you then place it down. You actually just drop it while you charge and hop up onto it, because it will go underneath all of their characters. And if you position it in such a way that, say they had 2 characters here, and one of them has like Mastermind or something, you can cut off their adjacency so they can no longer mastermind to somebody. So that's something that I've had come up in almost all of my games. I pulled it off every time, and nobody ever sees it coming. It also helps to cut off just other things that require adjacency. If you're just trying to block lines of fire also, because maybe they have somebody right here with prob and you're trying to attack somebody right here. You place this down. He's over here attacking this person with giant reach. Their probber cannot see him, so it cuts off their lines of fire to, like, defensively prob things. So it's really, really good. And our secondary attacker also can make use of the fact that it's just all up in their face, cutting off their lines of fire, because our secondary attacker does not require, or can ignore, I should say, line of fire through elevated. And of course, our secondary attacker here is the Carnage Silver Surfer. A lot of people like to play this guy in 2s. I find just one of him is fine with SpiderMan, because SpiderMan can, like I said, run up in there, literally KO like 2 things, sometimes even 3 right away. So that just jumps this dude to top dial. And if you don't know why that is, we'll take a quick look at his card here. Because of his first trait, Plasticity and Shape Change, when a friendly character with the symbiote keyword KOs 1 or more opposing characters, after resolutions, heal Carnage Silver Surfer 1 click, and he may heal past his starting line this way. So, of course, we're playing him at 50 points, because why not? So you can see here, he can easily, like I said, Spider-Man runs in there, KOs 2, sometimes 3 things, and this dude is just, boom, all the way up there, like turn 1, hypersonicking in with his special hypersonic, and just finishing the job for it. So if you don't already know, he's got hypersonic, and when he uses it and hits after resolutions, he can make an attack that can be close or range. And then you have Penetrating Psychic Blast and Steel Energy, but with close or range attacks. He's also Cosmic Energy, so you got that willpower, and he can't be outwitted. And like I was talking about, he's got improved targeting for Elevated, so dropping a big hunk of Elevated, like right in their start zone, to block their lines of fire is really good because he can see through it, so he doesn't really care that it's there either. So that's another reason I really like to pull that off. But yeah, super strong. He's got the Super Senses Shape Change combo, which is another thing. Having the Necro Sword is great because you can one-shot an opposing Carnage Silver Surfer because you can just get right through their Super Senses Shape Change, hit them for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a knockback, which would not KO them. However, I do have some Empower, which I'll talk about here in a minute, but yeah, Carnage Silver Surfer is great. You just run up in there with Hypersonic. You got 11 attack, 3 damage with Range Combat Expert. So he's shooting 12 for 4 with Penetrating Blast that can see through Elevated. Very powerful. He's triple target also, so he can target multiple things. And yeah, usually, like I said, a lot of times he can already be top dial, so he can sometimes be 5 damage with a 13 Penetrating Blast. And he's got Invincible at that point, so he doesn't have to worry about taking Mystics damage or anything. So yeah, this dude, super, super strong secondary attacker for our Spider-Man. And I will note here that he also has Symbiote, so again, you can equip him with the black or red Symbiote, you know, to give him the blades or the stealth. Both of those are great, and you know, for 0 points, you think, why not? I, however, did not equip him with anything for a very specific reason, and that's just because there's so many things right now in the meta that are just countering equipped characters, essentially. For one thing, if they've got a Scarab, he can see through equipped characters, so having one less equipped character is one less thing that they can see through, which is nice. But the main thing, in my opinion, is the King Killmonger for the Masters of Evil chases and their swaps, because he has a trait that says him and adjacent friendly characters, whenever they're attacked by an equipped opposing character, you get to roll a d6, and on a like 4 through 6, you just evade the attack. So they have a 50-50 rollout against all equipped characters. So, of course, since Spider-Man's equipped, we at least have our secondary attacker be unequipped, so we do have still a way to get through that defense. It also helps that he has Penetrating Blast, and I believe top dial King Killmonger has Impervious, so he can get through that Impervious very easily and just Penetrating Blast right through it. So they make it such a great team, such a great combo, get through like all the defenses basically, so love them a lot together. Next up, another symbiote is the Colossal Carnage, originally, of course, from the Mighty Thor. However, he got the Legacy card in the recent Spider-Man Beyond Amazing set, so we'll take a look at that here. Now, he does have this really cool trait, which I tend to forget about because we're already ignoring Super Senses with Spider-Man all the time, but for all characters with this trait, the first time each turn an opposing character would roll Super Senses, decrease the result by -1. If Carnage is 75 points or more when he's KO'd, this effect continues. That doesn't matter. We're playing it at 10 points. So we just get that last line right there, that last click of his dial. For 10 points, you really can't beat it. You get that map-wide trait that the first time they use senses, it's -1, which does help if Carnage Surfer is trying to attack somebody with senses or he's trying to retail on someone with senses, so that can come up for sure. Then on his attack power, you got Blades, Claws, Fangs, and free. If no other friendly character has been placed this turn, choose an opposing character that attacked Carnage or damaged a friendly character since your last turn. Place Carnage such that he can make a close attack that must use Blade's Claw's Fangs targeting the chosen character, then do so. If you do and hit after resolutions, heal Carnage equal to half the d6 result, and he may heal past his starting line this way. He's got Stop Toughness on that final click there. So you're starting with the sidestep, 11 attack, 16 with the stop click and toughness, and 3 damage. And you're just retalling. He's just a retal. So if they do damage, one of your characters, he just comes across the board, gets in a free attack with 11 attack and blades. So then if you do that and you hit and you get to heal up usually 1 or 2 clicks at least from the blades roll, sometimes 3, it doesn't really matter. You almost want to just heal up the 1 click, but if you get a big blades roll, then you want to do a ton of damage. So yeah, it doesn't really matter. You get over here somewhere, and whether or not you miss or hit that, then you can actually take a costed action to attack again, because he no longer has the Colossal Indifference that stops him from attacking smaller characters. So once he just free pops across the map, then he gets to make another attack afterwards if you need him to. And he also has Symbiote Keyword, so if he KOs anything, you're getting another heal on Carnage Silver Surfer. So that's another fun little combo there. And he's just so great for 10 points, just being a retal that can potentially heal past his starting line. So, if he's going to take 2 hits to KO at that point, he can basically pop across the map, get a free attack, and get another attack with an actual costed action. And like I said, if he KOs anything, you get a heal. And then, of course, the map-wide -1 super senses to their first roll is also very useful. So you can't beat him for 10 points. It's just so much value. But up next, we have yet another symbiote character, although he was before the introduction of the keyword, so he has Codex. So this isn't a themed team. I don't think I mentioned that earlier, but it's not themed. But we got Venom Magneto here, of course, who is one of the best 35 points in the game as well. And this dude here, if you don't already know, he's got a lot of crazy stuff. You got plasticity and super senses, and then if he's within 4 squares in line of fire of an opposing character, he can't be targeted by range attacks. So that's nice. Then you also got traded energy shield deflection and passenger 4, which is amazing. Telekinesis and telekinesis as free, which is amazing. And then the special leadership doesn't really ever come up because we play him at the 35-point line where he just has regular leadership. You can get there, but usually he dies after 1 hit, so you don't end up ever seeing that special leadership anyway. But regardless, yeah, running shot, 8 movement, 10 attack, 16 defense, 2 damage. Not really too bad. The fact that he has running shot is nice. Sidestep would probably be better, but he can running shot in with an 8 range double target. So there's that. He can make an attack if he needs to. Although 99% of the time, I don't really do that. I just carry people around and, free TK things. So not really any need to actually make attacks with him usually, but yeah, just that passenger 4 and that free TK is really all it comes down to. And a leadership, because we don't have any other leadership, so the leadership is very useful as well. So yeah, he's our main guy. We just have him TK out SpiderMan, then he hops to some elevated sidestep charges and does his thing. And then we have a bunch of other TK. We can TK out this guy, and he can hypersonic and get in there as well. So on a small map, both of these guys can just cross the map and get to your opponent's starting area and just be wreaking havoc right away. All right, and continuing our little kind of theme here of symbiotes, we have Black Skull. Now, I did just start with Black Skull. He was not really who I was using most of the time, but I like to start with him. For one thing, he looks awesome, and just seeing all these guys, all these Venom and Carnage symbiote dudes, it just looks cool. But yeah, I do like to start with him because he does have the same exact trait that the Magneto had with the plasticity, super senses, and when he's within 4 line of fire, he can't be targeted by range attacks. Very nice. He's got leadership, shape change, and when he uses leadership and succeeds after resolutions, you can generate a War Machine bystander. That was really the main reason I was starting with him, just so turn 1 I roll leadership, see if we get to pop out a War Machine, which, isn't crazy good or anything, but it does give you a giant size sidestep, which is nice. You can carry people around, and occasionally you just make an attack with a 10 attack, an energy explosion, Oh, and you can run him up there and use the Masters of Evil team ability to, get that -1 defense, which, it can come up. I never really did for me. I never really took advantage of that, but it is something that could happen. But then he also has Charge Flurry, Stealth, and Giant Reach 2, as well as Mastermind. So he's got layers upon layers upon layers of defense, and he's got that Charge Flurry, Giant Reach, Blades exploit to be pretty offensive when he needs to be. And then you got some Steel Energy and stuff to heal him up there. So yeah, he's not bad at all. However, I will get quickly into one of my sideline swaps just because this guy was really the main one on the team the whole time. Like usually I would just roll leadership, swap him out, and almost never use him again. There was a couple games I brought him back out to try and Charge Flurry something, but Iron Inquisitor is the main one I was using that once I brought him in, he kind of just sat there to use his special defensive abilities, his special defense power here. So of course, if you don't know how they swap, it's the Multiversal Masters of Evil trait here that just says free. If they begin your turn on the map, you can replace them with another character with this trait on the same click number. So that's how they swap out Masters of Evil chases from Avengers 60th can all do that. But then you have the trait here that, well, this doesn't really come up either, but free, choose a character in your KO area and choose a standard power that's on that character's card. They can use that chosen power until he chooses again. That doesn't really ever come up, like I said, but it can. He does also have Shield TA and the Masters of Evil team ability, which again, if I ever ran him up there next to somebody, Masters of Evil would come in handy, but I never did that. I did use his TK sometimes to position things, but it's his special defense powers here that really made him shine. So he's got Impervious, but can reduce penetrating damage. And adjacent friendly characters can use Mastermind, but only to choose characters with the Masters of Evil keyword, Protected Outwit. So that is so huge. When you have Venom Magneto carrying him around, as well as your other support characters, it just means that they can't just easily snipe off your support characters that are super, cheap and like 3 or 4 clicks of health or whatever. They have to basically get through him somehow first. They have to plan for the fact that they all have Mastermind to Mastermind onto him with Impervious that can reduce penetrating. So that's really, really good. And then you've got the damage power, which is Perplex. When he uses it to target another friendly character, that character can use probability control until your next turn, which is huge. This just enables so many ridiculous things with the SpiderMan, because you just perplex up SpiderMan's attack, and then, you TK him out and he goes and does his thing, and he has his own prob that way. So if you don't manage to get the rest of your team into position to line up another prob, he has his own prob in case he crit misses or just barely misses by a little bit. He needs that reroll to finish something off. He has it, which is so huge, and it definitely comes up a lot. So that right there is the main reason that this guy is just on the team the whole time. He's protecting all my support characters, and he's giving prob to my main attackers. Sometimes I also just like to perplex up his attack or defense or something because he's colossal, so he can see over everything with his prob that he'll get from him. Sometimes I like to perplex up his defense so that he has an 8 range prob. There's a million different ways to use that, and it's just a very, very effective power. And then next up, we have breaking our little kind of symbiote theme chain here. Like I said, it's not a theme team, but we've got Saint Walker, the Blue Lantern from Batman Team Up. Very, very powerful figure here. It works very well with this strategy. So here's how this works. He gets the blue ring for free because he is a Blue Lantern Corps. So he gets the blue ring for free, and that gives him Empower. And if this character can already use Empower, when they use it, also modify the attacker's attack +1. So that's great. And then you can see he has a trait here which gives him Empower, and when Saint Walker uses it, he may treat other friendly characters within range and line of fire as adjacent. So that is amazing right there. You got Empower within his range, which is 5, I believe. Yeah, 5 range. 5 range Empower, which with the ring, if they already have Empower, you also modify attack +1. So very, very huge. If you get this guy within 5 squares in line of fire of Spider-Man, or actually 6 in some cases, because this guy has the shield team ability. So if they're adjacent, which they should be. He can actually have 6 range to be able to see him. 6 range in line of fire then in some cases. But yeah, +1 attack and damage on Spider-Man all the time in that case, which is amazing. And then his other trait here did actually come up a couple times for me, that attack rolls of 11 made by friendly characters within range are critical hits. If Saint Walker is 60 points, attack rolls of 10 by friendly characters within range are critical hits. He's not 60 points though. We're playing him at 30, which is the lower line here. So he will just have Force Blast, Telekinesis, Energy Shield, and Enhancement. And Enhancement is also great to have for our ranged attacker here, which is our Silver Surfer Carnage. And then, yeah, we don't have the special enhancement in Perplex. That's only on the 60-point line. But yeah, this dude is so good. The Empower within range, +1 to attack as well. 11s are crit hits. So that's another damage and, you know, another way to kind of get through super senses and stuff. Because if you didn't know, if you crit hit, you can't use super senses. You just become hit. But yeah, then you also have the other effect from the blue ring, which allows you to generate a construct and, you know, blah, 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 everything that they do, which I'm sure most of you know by now, but if you don't, yeah, you got the hydrant, the chainsaw, the stop sign, the cowboy boot, the spotlight, the lasso, and the one that I'm missing currently is the catcher's mitt. Actually, I already have that coming in the mail. I bought it before the tournament, but I didn't get it in time. So yeah, I got all the blue things. So they can do all their cool things, you know. The main ones that you usually want to use, if you're trying to be offensive, you can use the cowboy boot to get free knockback on somebody, and it'll have 11 attack, 3 damage, giant reach with the close combat expert. The stop sign defensively is one of the best ones because opposing with characters within 2 can't use improved movement and just has barrier. You also have chainsaw, which just flurry blades is nice. And then you have the fire hydrant, which can remove up to 2 hindering or blocking terrain markers within 6 in line of fire. So it helps to remove barriers that are in your way if you need to. Those are the only ones I really ever used or thought about using. You got Incap from the lasso and some -1 attack thing from the spotlight. But and the mitt gives energy shield. That never came up, but if I had the mitt, dropping it for some energy shield for my other friendlies is useful too. So the more constructs you have, the better, of course. But I would say as long as you have like the stop sign and like the chainsaw or the boot or something, that's probably enough. He does enough by himself just with the Empower with the +1 attack and damage from range is so good. And also having TK can really come in handy too, because we got so many TKers here. We got him, and him. So we got 3 TKers. And with their speed and everything already, you just have so much maneuverability with the team. It's insane. So far, that brings us up to like 270 points. The last thing that I had on the team, I don't actually physically own. I was borrowing it from my friend Matt, and I gave it back to him after the event. But I'll put it on screen for you. The last thing I was playing was Felix Faust from Wonder Woman. Now, he also has a higher point line, but again, I'm just playing him at the 30-point line because he's just so good for 30 points. You got 8 range with Mystics in case they attack him. But the 8 range comes in handy for his special abilities here, which his first trait, which is so good, and half the reason I'm playing him, is that when an opposing character within range would use Outwit, Probability Control, or Perplex, roll a d6. On a 1, that character can use the power an additional time this turn. On a 4 or 5, the use of that power has no effect. And on a 6, the use of that power has no effect, and after resolutions, deal that character 1 penetrating damage. So of course on a 2 or 3, nothing happens. It just, the effect goes through as normal. So yeah, it's just really good. You know, if you roll a 1, it can suck because they get to prob again. The main thing is, you know, we move into position with the rest of our team being carried by Venom Magneto, and we drop this guy, you know, 8 range is really far right now. So he has pretty much map-wide reach with that to be able to potentially stop our opponent's probability controls against us, you know, their defensive probs. And sometimes if you roll a 6, then you can even, you know, get a free damage in with that as well, which is really nice. But just the fact that you have like a 50-50 chance of that not happening is so good. And then he also has stealth, free, place Felix Faust in a square up to 4 squares away from his current square. So that's really nice to position him to be able to be carried by Venom Magneto, or to carry him up and then, you know, position him further out if needed. That free placement is just so useful, especially because, you know, it can go behind walls or whatever. It just has to be within 4 squares away from his current squares. So you don't need line of fire or anything like that. It's really nice. He's got a 10 attack penetrating blast for 2 damage, which can come up, especially if he's sitting next to our Saint Walker. He can potentially shoot for 3 penetrating, and if he's adjacent to, of course, our Iron Inquisitor, then he's rocking 9 range for that. So yeah, he can definitely make range attacks if needed. Again, didn't really ever come up, didn't really ever have to make range attacks because the rest of our team was so efficient at dealing damage as it was. But then, last but not least, actually one of the main other reasons we're playing him here, Outwit, Probability Control, and Enhancement on his damage power. So again, that gives us another enhancement for our Carnage Silver Surfer to take advantage of, potentially bumping up his damage. If he gets the top click, where he's got 4 with Ranged Combat Expert, and he gets adjacent to both Saint Walker and Felix Faust, then he's rocking a 7 damage with at least a 13 attack penetrating blast. So super nuts, super overpowered, and he can shoot twice usually if he hypersonics, and then shoots a second time if he hits the first time. So he can do insane amounts of damage at that point as well. And really just the prob comes in handy, as well as sometimes the Outwit also. And funny enough, there was a couple other Felix Fausts at this event. I wasn't really prepared for that. He's a really good character, but I just didn't think people would be playing him for some reason. I ended up going against like 2 teams with him, and it's just so funny when you got 2 teams with Faust. Because then every time you're probbing, perplexing, outwitting, whatever, you're usually within range of Faust. So we're constantly rolling a single d6 against each other to prevent it from happening, or get another use of it, or take a damage, or whatever happens. It's always pretty interesting how that goes. But yeah, it's just so good. I love the team a lot. I will quickly go over my sideline and tarot card options. These are by no means what you have to play, not even close. My sideline didn't come up at all, really, to be honest. I think throughout the whole event, I brought in like 2 things off the sideline, so it didn't really matter. Besides him, the Iron Inquisitor swap was really the main thing. If I had more Masters of Evil, I would just fill up the sideline with Masters of Evil. I currently only own the 2, and I was going to try to borrow a few others, but that didn't work out for me. Now, one of the main things is War Machine is really great from Avengers 60th, to just plop him on the sideline, because our Iron Inquisitor does have Stark Industries keyword. So War Machine has a trait that's sideline active that once per game for all characters with this trait, when a friendly character with Stark Industries keyword is damaged by an attack, after resolutions, you may generate War Machine from your sideline on click number 4 adjacent to that character. If you started the game via this trait, when he would take damage, instead remove him from the game, and your opponent scores 10 points instead of his full point value, which is great. You know, you just get a free click number 4 War Machine, boom, with the running shot, energy explosion, and enhancement, and shield TA, of course, as well, and then this awesome defense power, invuln, and super senses. And when an adjacent friendly character with the armor and or Stark Industries keyword is attacked, the attacking character can't positively modify their combat values except range. So really nice. You just get to pop him in off the sideline whenever Iron Inquisitor takes a hit, which definitely happens because he's masterminding from everybody adjacent. So once somebody does get shot at and they mastermind onto him, you pop out War Machine. So he's really nice. Definitely want to put him on there. Like I said, if I had more Masters of Evil, the rest of the sideline would just be Masters of Evil after him. But I just threw on a couple of Skrull Spies because I just had them. I literally forgot them every time. I forgot to roll for them every time, like I usually do. But I mean, honestly, I think it could come up with this team if I ever remembered to do it. But sideline active for all characters with this trait. When an opposing character is KO'd, you may choose a Skrull Spy on your sideline, roll a d6 on a 5 or 6, generate the chosen Skrull Spy from your sideline on click number 2 in the KO'd character's square. So that's pretty nice. You just get a free character. You get Sidestep, Close Combat Expert. And you know, like I said, you're KOing so much stuff, popping in 1 or 2 of these guys could be nice because it could lock up any adjacent characters, or it could give you another attack option. I mean, they would have an 11 attack for 2 damage because of the close combat expert. And if he can see them, he can bump them up to a 12 attack for 3 damage with his Empower special. So that can definitely come up. Like I said, I just forgot it every time. Like I would just KO something and then be like, all right, next one, what's up? Just boom, KO something, boom, KO something, boom, KO something, boom, KO something, and then be like, all right, I'm done, go ahead. So I just forgot to roll for them every turn. I also threw on one of these Sentinels, which I did bring in once. Basically, just whenever you get hit 3 times in a turn, you can pop them in off your sideline to just somewhere in your starting area. And then when they're KO'd, they don't actually go to your KO area, they go to your sideline, which is nice, so you can keep bringing them in if you keep getting hit 3 or more times. It's actually only 2 or more times if it's someone with the X-Men keyword that's hitting you, which can come up, but hasn't yet. But yeah, I did pull that off once, and I wouldn't say it was exactly helpful, but I had a Sentinel in my starting area, and I did use it to run up there and tie up one of their figures, so kind of helped out. Wasn't really necessary, regardless. And then the last thing I had on my sideline, again, didn't matter, but I used the mystery of the Strange Cube mystery card from the Spider-Man Beyond Amazing set. You get this card with Spider-Man Noir. So basically, whenever a friendly character with Spider-Man keyword uses super senses and succeeds, after resolutions, gain a clue token. When you get to 4, at the beginning of your turn, you can choose a friendly character, roll a d6. Until your next turn, opposing characters adjacent to that character can't use powers of the corresponding color. So if specifically just Spider-Man rolls super senses 4 times successfully, I can then on my next turn maybe turn off one of those powers, depending on what I roll and depending on which character I pick, if they're adjacent to anybody. Again, like I said, that never came up. He only rolled super senses like 1 or 2 times, actually successfully, a couple other times that failed. But yeah. That's pretty much that. The terrain that I chose to use, probably not super important. I would say as long as you have the 2 like biggest chunks of elevated right now. This one came in like the Avengers 60th OP kit with the Hulk one, I believe. So it's just a big 3x3 hunk of elevated. Really hard to destroy it because you need a 5 damage to blow it up, which is nice. It just covers a big area. And then my favorite one is just the shipping container. Again, you know, gives you the giant reach plus 2 damage. It takes 4 damage to blow it up. So these just give you the most damage and the most reach, and they're the hardest to KO, and they're the biggest hunks of elevated to place around the map for Spider-Man to hop into. And then because I didn't have any other way to heal Spider-Man, I just said, whatever, let's try to use the heart-shaped herb bush, also from Avengers 60th. So characters adjacent or occupying this have power, heal 1 click. You know, if I really, really needed to, I could kind of hop him over there, power, heal 1 click, and then, you know, he'll have 2 tokens, so I can free action, run over there, and still make an attack, and then take 1 unavoidable for it. I don't know. This never, ever came up. If I'm being honest, I would probably swap this out for maybe the fence that gives ESD, or just another hunk of elevated, even if it's just a 2 square piece or something. You know, just having more elevated options around the map is probably more useful. But regardless, that is what I went into this with, and that's just pretty much how it went. As for tarot cards, if you're interested, I was playing the Ace of Pentacles, which is when a character uses Flurry and misses 1 or both attacks after resolutions, they may make a close attack, which, you know, is nice. In case Spider-Man misses 1 of his Flurry attacks, he gets another one. Or if I happen to swap out to this guy and he misses 1 of his attacks, he gets to make another attack. So that's a nice one to have for that reason. This was a huge one, although it literally never came up. I swear I flipped this one first turn every time, and I was always like, wow, great. Not when I want to see that. But it's whenever a character that can use Penetrating Blast makes a ranged attack after resolutions, deal 1 penetrating damage to each opposing character adjacent to a hit target. Really, really strong for this guy having triple target Penetrating Blast. Just can deal a ton of extra free damage off of that. And then you got super senses +1. So of course, obviously, we got super senses, super senses, super senses, super senses. Felix Faust has super senses, basically the whole team. So why not? And you know, when we got him to -1 for opposing characters and him that can just turn it off entirely, it's not benefiting our opponent like usually at all. And then we have the Queen of Wands, which is when a character rolls an effect using a single d6, increase the result by +1. Again, that affects our super senses shape change, super senses imperv, super senses imperv there, super senses shape change him. Even his Blades Claws roll can get a +1. Felix Faust die roll gets a +1, meaning as long as this card is out, he can never roll a 1 to let them use it again. And it's like, if you happen to roll like a 3, 4, 5, you know, it's shutting off that effect for the turn, or, you know, making it not do anything. So it's really, really good for a lot of characters on here. And yeah, then you also have the High Priestess, which is just once per turn, each player may re-roll a single d6 in a friendly character's roll, including a single d6 in an attack roll, which is really nice. Again, you know, if you roll really bad on leadership, willpower, super senses, shape change, which is another thing for the +1, we got a lot of leadership, willpower stuff. But yeah, leadership, willpower, super senses, especially impervious, shape change, blades, whatever, you get to re-roll it. Or if you roll like 2 1s, you know, you could at least, if you don't have another prob lined up, or if it gets negated by a Faust, you can re-roll one of them to a hopefully higher number that can let you hit. So that's what I was running with. And now I did, after the event, get a bunch of tarot cards as one of my prizes. And I will say the Star Tarot card is amazing. Results of a 1 during attacks and breakaway attempts are 6 instead. So that is a very, very powerful card. And I would likely swap this one for this because, you know, there's a lot of teams right now, and I did end up losing to one, but there's a lot of teams right now that make you crit miss using the X of Swords, Mr. Sinister, to replace your dies with a 1. Just usually using 2 of him, so you can, you know, if you have a roll that has at least 1 1, they replace 1 and you crit miss. Otherwise, they can replace 2 dice and make you crit miss. So it's really, really annoying to deal with that. And this would be a great counter to that type of strategy, while still kind of giving you some of the same effects that make this thing good. Like re-rolling a single d6 is nice, but making all 1s in your attack become a 6 is amazing. I believe it was also ruled with this that during attacks, everything of a 1 becomes a 6 instead. So that means super senses, shape change, impervious, etc., which we have a lot of that. And SpiderMan's just negating their super senses and shape change entirely. You got penetrating blast to get to impervious. So again, doesn't really help our opponent out that much usually, unless they're attacking us. You know, then their 1s become 6s in their attack roll. But otherwise, yeah. So I think I would swap out for that one now. But yeah, that's pretty much the team. You guys, let me know what you think about it. Is there any way you think you could improve upon it? I'd love to know. I kind of went over my whole basic strategy already. But, you know, there's just a lot of little things with positioning. I kind of already gave you guys my tips for, you know, dropping this to misplace their characters can be really nice when you charge in with Spider-Man. And like I said, once it is all up in their way, he can see through it, so he doesn't really care about all that. Venom Magneto carries up this dude and Faust, and you kind of want to drop him and Faust in front so they can have line of fire to Spider-Man's attacks. Have this dude behind all of them so that he can, you know, be masterminded onto when necessary. And then you got him to retowel if they do hit you with something next turn. Also, it's cool because you can move him up carrying everybody, and then you can potentially free TK this guy out from behind, and then he can hypersonic in. And you can use one of their TKs to get Spider-Man out in the first place. So, yeah, just a lot of really good stuff. But that's, like I said, pretty much it for the team. Let me know all your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and click that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. And if you guys would like to help support the channel even more, don't forget to check the links in the description for our Patreon so you can see your name here in the credits with all these other awesome people, as well as be entered into our monthly Patreon giveaways for as little as $1 a month. So make sure to check that out. But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Until next time, this has been Heroclix Headquarters, signing off.